So I've been able to do some traveling with the Nintendo Switch Lite, and I think that is the perfect test case for why you would want to pick up one of these new portable machines. Now, obviously, the regular Nintendo Switch has been a phenomenon. It's sold very well. There's a fantastic library out there. And then earlier this year, Nintendo announced that, hey, you know what? We're going to create a portable-only version of this platform for those that like to commute to work, and there's a lot of that we're seeing. Actually, I'm seeing a lot of people playing Nintendo Switch Lite on subway trains here in Japan. But those that like to travel on airplanes and, you know, get around with their machines and also have a little bit more of a personal experience with their game software. And that's what this device is all about. This is not really a machine that you're going to be having that shared communal game experience with. This is for you to get lost in your game world. So I feel that if you are one of those people that is always on a commute and tend to prefer to play their regular Switch in portable mode, this might be something that you want to take a look at. Nintendo did something here with the form factor that I really appreciate. It feels a lot more robust. This machine feels like there's no flex, there's no bend in it. It feels like it's been crafted with huskier materials to endure a little bit more abuse. Now, you don't want to pick this up and throw it around. It's going to crack and you're going to be very angry because it's not inexpensive. But it does feel like it's going to last quite a bit longer than a traditional Switch would, with all the bumps and spills that happen when you're traveling around. And to that end, this has been an incredibly comfortable console to play on. I've been able to test it out on tons of games. The Witcher 3, Monkey Barrels, Doom. I played a lot of new Super Lucky's Tale on this. I checked out Super Mario Odyssey. I checked out Luigi's Mansion 3. To a game, every single one of these titles performed very well.
Oh, yeah!
I will say that the smaller screen on the Switch Lite does make it a little bit more difficult for my eyes to read all of the tiny text on some games. Specifically on a title like The Witcher 3, I was having to kind of squint a little bit to get every single detail that I wanted as I was looking at the screen.
All insignificant details.
I also found it a little less exciting to play a game like Doom in this kind of shrunken state, and that's, you know, likely because I'm squinting a bit to see all of the fast-paced details on that. It ran great, and it looks great, but Doom in particular is one of those games that really benefits from a larger display, and also being able to hold a Pro Controller in your hand. Now, that is the thing about the Switch Lite. You can, of course, connect Joy-Con, regular Joy-Con controllers, and you can connect a Bluetooth Pro Controller to this. But for the most part, the machine is asking you to play every game with these controls, with these thumbsticks and all the buttons that are on the machine itself. And of course, they added the D-pad for better functionality for games, for fighting games and things like that. And I did play a little bit of Street Fighter on this, and it performed terrifically. But you're really kind of losing the reason for this machine if you connect an external controller to it and find some way to perch this somewhere and play off of that little itty-bitty screen from sitting back in your chair or something. That's not the way you're supposed to play the new Switch Lite. This is more you're sort of leaning over and leaning into the experience and playing games like you would on a Vita or the Nintendo 3DS or going back all the way to the Game Boy. This is a portable game system.
Yeah!
I do really wish that there was some way to dock this system and put it onto a TV. That is what the Switch means to me. That's the way it was built. The Switch Lite is not that machine, though. Nintendo's gone on record and said there is no way to dock this to an external television set. And I will say, now that I have both versions of the Switch, I've got my regular Switch docked at home, and I think that's the way that I'm going to do it. When I travel, this is going to be the machine that I travel with. For its convenience and for its durability, because it's always been my fear that I was going to damage my original Switch, particularly before Nintendo instituted the cloud save backup functionality. And the other thing about that is I had to kind of figure out exactly how I was going to best utilize this thing when I was on the road, because right now Nintendo allows you to have multiple Switch machines tied to an account, but it only allows you to have one of those systems operating the software at a time. So if you want to have more than one machine with all of your software on it, one of those systems is going to have to access the internet and see if it's okay for you to play games that are stored on the hard drive at any given time. Meaning you can't be playing the same game on two different machines at the same time. You have to make one of those consoles your primary console. And what I did was, because I knew I was going to be playing a lot of Nintendo Switch games in airplane mode, is I made this my primary console, loaded tons of software on my micro SD card, and I was able to play in airplane mode without the machine having to check on the internet if I had the license to do that. Now my machine at home which is not my primary machine anymore, has to log on to the internet and make sure that I have the right to use the software and that I'm not using the software in another place. The cartridges, if you own a library of cartridges, you can of course go from machine to machine and it won't do any of that stuff at all. But it does make it a little bit tricky. You do have to definitely be deliberate about what machine you're using and when you're using it and how you're best going to use it, so you're not having to be tied to the internet chain before you can log in and start playing. Obviously, there's been a lot of controversy over the Joy-Con drift issue, both on the regular Nintendo Switch, but also on the Nintendo Switch Lite. That is the elephant in the room. That is definitely a sore subject for a lot of gamers out there. I have not personally encountered it. I think it's unfortunate that something that affected early Switch units has made its way to a brand new portable console. I don't know if I got a new revision of the Switch Lite where the drift has been taken out of this machine, but I personally have not noticed any drift issues at all with this device. I really dig this machine. I think it's a fantastic portable Switch. It has been incredibly enjoyable and incredibly luxurious to be able to get lost in, these experiences in a portable manner. And I love the build quality. I love the brightness of this big yellow console. I've never owned a yellow portable machine before. It's like a statement, It's like, yes, I love video games. I've got a yellow portable console with me that I pack around. I've gotten some of my favorite game developers to sign the back of it, which just looking at this brings me a tremendous amount of joy. I don't know that this is the first Switch that anybody should buy, though. I believe that the extra functionality of being able to dock the existing launch model Switch or the revised version of the original Switch is probably the better choice. It's worth the extra dollars to have Joy-Con that you can take off of the machine. The fact that you can share the game experiences on a big screen is a pretty big deal, and you can take it with you and play in portable mode just fine on a regular existing Switch. I would probably tend to say that that's the first Switch that you should go for. If you already have the Switch and you love Switch software and you do a lot of traveling or a lot of commuting, then absolutely you should look at this as a potential next purchase, because it's an incredibly well-made console and it's very fun to play portable games on this awesome portable system. And in fact, I would say, based on the strength of the Switch library and the build quality on this, barring any calamities that might befall you with the drift issues, this is probably the very best portable game system that I have ever been able to play on. I mean, I'm playing home console experiences in the palms of my hand. They play beautifully on this device. I'm going to give the Nintendo Switch Lite a 9 out of 10.